Hi guys, it's Elaine here, the Animal Reiki Lady. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about a little difficult topic, the topic of euthanasia, something that I have covered before, but from a different perspective this time. But for those of you who may be catching me for the very first time, my name is Elaine. I'm the Animal Reiki Lady, and I help people prepare for and cope with pet loss. I help us repair our relationships with our animal companions, whether they're here with us now or have been in the past. And this is one of those times when we're going to talk about perhaps some trauma that we've experienced with a pet who has crossed the Rainbow Bridge. So the topic I want to talk about, euthanasia, the word itself is really hard for us to talk about. Death is hard for us to talk about. I would love to be able to shift the entire narrative around the way we think of death and the way that we think of our animal companions when it's time for them to cross. I have shared stories before about my personal experience with my beautiful Lucy. Lucy, my 13-year-old black lab who crossed in August of 2020 with assistance from a veterinarian. Her and I and our veterinarian decided together. I sat with her in beautiful, peaceful silence, made a connection, and I understood even from the look in her eyes when it was her time to cross. I've shared this story before. She had been through about 6 months. She'd been progressively aging, experiencing all of the conditions that go along with aging. And she had a couple bad months, and then she had a couple really good months, and then things really declined. And she had lost control of her bowels. She was unable to walk. I was using a help-me-up harness, and the weekend before she transitioned, she looked at me with those eyes that said, "Mom, I can't do this anymore. Please don't make me do this anymore. Help me." That is the clear message that I've received from her. And honestly, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, if you've watched any of my other videos, I feel like I'm a voice for animals. And I'm not talking the regular voice. I'm not talking about the voice that people think about, that animals in captivity in zoos, or animals who are on the slaughterhouse floor, chickens who are being forced to lay all day long. I'm a voice for their teaching. I'm a voice for sharing that they want to help us, that they are here for us. And I receive these, I've worked with so many animals in transition, and they have shared so many beautiful, wonderful messages with me, and I can only share that with you. So Lucy, I received this message from her clearly that she was ready for help. And it was such a peaceful moment for her and me when we came to that conclusion. And then for the veterinarian as well. I promise you, if you go back and look at the video called Forgive Your Veterinarian, they have just as much difficulty with every single day of their careers working with an animal who is ready to transition or who is transitioning, and that they have to be that catalyst. They have to be the assistance for helping that animal cross. Topic for a different day. Go check out that video, Forgive Your Veterinarian. In this case, though, I share the story of Lucy, whose euthanasia was beautifully peaceful. We had, as an animal Reiki master, I practiced meditation. We had this peaceful connection, and so when it came time for her to cross, it was a beautiful sunny day in a backyard. Her crossing was not only smooth, it was beautiful. She took one beautiful breath, so full and so amazing. And when she released that breath, she flowed through us. There were 4 of us there. She flowed through us with the most peaceful, calm. That is the deepest love I've ever felt. And in response to that video, when I shared that, I got some other questions. I do all this for you guys. You guys tell me what it is that you need me to talk about. And the response, I should always say grab a tissue before we talk about this stuff, even now. The euthanasia did not go that way. So the person who reached out to me said, I had just the opposite experience. When it was time for my pet to cross, the experience was graphically difficult. They struggled. They were restless. Their body was spasming. It was not, and I'm sorry to be graphic. I just want to explain for you the dramatic difference, and why it's okay, and why we can get past that and heal from that kind of trauma. So I've had a couple different experiences. I've been with so many animals now that have transitioned, but Lucy was a beautiful, easy, peaceful transition, and I feel that part of that, I know that part of that came from the fact that we sat together and reached a decision together. Then there was Jake. Jake is the one who kind of threw me for a little loop, because Jake looked at me with eyes that he recognized that we weren't coming with him. He was all good with everything. He was ready to go. He was ready to cross. He had been in such pain. He was in kidney failure, 14 years old, and had a recent amputation. So he was ready to cross, but he realized at almost the last moment that we weren't coming with him. And the look when he looked around at all of us, like, wait, you're not coming? I thought you guys were coming with me. That was a challenging one. But we're going to get to that too, because it's all tied to the same thing. And then there was Max, and I'm using Max so that I'm using the name Max. That is not the real name, because Max was a pet who was being put down for biting, and after 4 bites, that was the decision that was made by authorities out of our hands. And so I was present for Max's euthanasia, and that was a more challenging one. Max he struggled with that, and so his human companion struggled, I struggled, the vet struggled. It was a very challenging one. And then there was the one that someone reached out to me with that said the actual euthanasia itself was traumatic. So I'm going to just tell you this one thing. And so what I did was I go inside, I meditate, because when I meditate, I have taught myself how to completely quiet my mind. I let everything else, and if you guys ever want to try this, I highly suggest it. If I have a lot going on, which just like you guys, I do, I take everything that's on my mind, I imagine in my mind that I'm putting it all into this beautiful little bag, and I set the bag of my worries and my stress, I set it over here under a tree, and I let the tree watch it for me. And I know that in 10 or 15 minutes I can have that bag of worries back if I want to. I'd rather not, actually. I don't want any of those stressors. But I quiet my mind fully, I go deep inside, and I ask for insights from the animals. And what I received about euthanasia, especially euthanasias that may not go smoothly, euthanasias that may appear traumatic because there's a tough physical response. There is, that's the best way for me to describe it, is a tough physical response. And what I understand is that their spirit, their soul, use whatever word you want, their spirit needs to have an energetic push. It just needs to more energetically release. And so there is that response from their body. It is their physical push. Imagine giving birth, okay? So we'll use puppies as the example. Imagine a mama who goes into labor and is giving birth. It's almost just the opposite. They are flowing out of their body instead of into their body, and sometimes they just need a little extra push. And so they have that physical response that it strickens us. That's a good word for it. It really strickens us if we have to see that and witness it and be part of it. But if I can show you, number one, if you have this experience that you are going to be coming to shortly, if it's time for your pet to transition, if it is time for them to need assistance in that transition, you may experience this. You may see some type of physical response. It is simply their body releasing their soul and their spirit. So here's what I want you to do. If you're about to go through this transition, be prepared for that and be supportive. Instead of diving deep inside and being selfish and grieving, step away from yourself for just a moment. Be there for them as fully, completely present as you possibly can. Opening your heart, full of love. Give them the most love you possibly can. Let them know they are safe and loved, and this is fine, because when they make that transition, when they take that final step outside of their physical body, they will be in a place of pure, perfect love. So no animal does not cross into pure, perfect love. They immediately enter the most beautiful space, No animal gets stuck between worlds. No animal gets lost on their way to the Rainbow Bridge. They immediately transition to this most beautiful space. So that's one thing you can do. Now, what if your animal has already crossed? I don't care if it was yesterday, a year ago, a decade ago. You can still make a connection with them. They never leave us. I will say this until I have not another breath in my own body. There is no afterwards. They transition. I use this example all the time of ice and water and steam. And when the ice melts and becomes water, and the water, we could boil it and it becomes steam. The steam goes off into the air. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. And our animal companion spirit is with us always. So I would like you to, right now, if you've already had a pet who has crossed, and you feel as if you were traumatized by having to assist them in that crossing, here's what I'm going to have you do. Just join with me right now. If you can, if you're driving or if you're someplace where you can't do this, come back to it later. This is very simple, very easy. I just want you to close your eyes. Imagine that bag that I described earlier. It can be any beautiful bag that you wish it to be. A beautiful silk bag, a satin bag, pretty decorated bag, a paper bag, it doesn't matter. Into that bag, I want you right now to place anything that's on your mind. Any worries, any fears, any stressors. You can have them back. You can have them back in 5 minutes. But for right now, place them into a bag, and in your mind's eye, place that bag under a beautiful tree and ask that tree to take good care of it for you. Let the tree take on those worries, those stressors, just for the moment. And now take in one beautiful breath. Take in a breath. Breathe in. Let it fill your heart. And know that love that you felt for your animal companion. You know what it feels like. I know when I snuggle my little Winston right here, when I snuggle him in my mind's eye under my chin, I feel my heart literally swell with love. When you have that feeling, ask your animal to share with you. Let them embrace you. Let them show you that they're still here with you. They will always be here with you. Because there is no yesterday, there is no today, there is no tomorrow. We are surrounded by them always. We just need to remember. And you can stay here in this space for as long as you like. That tree's not going to give up your worries if you don't want it to. Stay here with them. Hold a heart space with them. Know that they did not mean to traumatize you. And the more we can share this information with everyone, the more we can learn that this is a beautiful thing that they are experiencing and that we can be their support in their time of greatest need. And when you're ready, you can just bring your focus back to your body. If you'd like to go pick up that bag under the tree, go ahead and do it. If you'd like to leave it there, go ahead and do that too. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And know that you've made a beautiful, loving connection with your animal companion. Well, that's what I had to share with you today. And you guys know, as always, it's the questions that you would like answered that I like to talk about. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer the questions for you. I love the messages that you guys send me, and I try to respond to every single one. Every single person who reaches out to me in the comments, I try to reply to. And as always, you guys know, if you would subscribe to my channel, that would be lovely. If you would click the little bell notification so that you can get notified whenever I post these videos, and give me a little thumbs up that you like the video. That would be so appreciated, because it helps us get this word out there. It helps us share the things that our animals wish to teach us. And for now, may the animals light your way. I love you so much. Take care.